Life doesn't really reward people with great ideas. Every day you meet people that have amazing ideas, amazing dreams, amazing aspirations, and ideas that could literally change the world. But those are not the people that make the most out of life. Life doesn't reward those set of people. The set of people that life rewards are finishers. People who don't just dream about things but put their hands to work. People who don't just have big dreams, big aspirations, but people who double down and ensure that they see things through. So, in essence, right, what I'm trying to say is life rewards finishers, not just starters. And in some cases, even when you have started, maybe you're working towards that goal, it's like, getting a college degree or a university degree, for instance, starting and, completing your first year, your second year is not enough. You only get the certificate, you only get certified when you complete the years required and you pass all your courses. Sometimes that's how life is. You feel like life isn't fair because most times you feel you've done a significant amount of work, you've done, made certain level of progress, but sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes we only get the result when we actually finish. So don't just be a starter, be a finisher. And we're not talking about WWE finishing moves here. We're not talking about RKO, Stone Cold Stunner, Spear, Super Kick, and the likes. We're talking about finishing those plans. We're talking about executing those plans to the end. We're talking about those goals that you set for yourself, seeing it through to the end, right? Because, like we've said, that's what separates high achievers from the dreamers. So everybody has, dreams, everybody has aspirations, everyone wants to succeed. But this is the one thing that separates those that do eventually succeed and those who just, remain in the realm of fantasy or dreaming. So you have to be a finisher. And yeah, we're together in this WhatsApp group. All in the WhatsApp group, we have courses like myself. If you have courses that you've not completed to today, say hi. Like my hands, all my two hands are up. I have courses that I'm yet to finish, books that I said I'll read. We've all had New Year resolution that this year I'm going to have six packs and muscles and biceps. I'm going to get that body. And this is August or whatever month this is that you're watching it. This is September, this is October, whatever time you're watching it. And yet it seems like you've not gotten that body. And this is just an instance, right? So we're all together, we're in the same WhatsApp group. But it's important to not remain there. It's important to actually take the actual steps, to take the right steps to help you become a finisher, and so that you can actually get the results and the reward. And the thing is, it's not actually not going to be easy, right? Because success doesn't really come easy. And I once heard someone said success is something that the rent is due every day. So you have to pay the rent every day. You don't own success, you lease it, and the rent is due every day. So you have to be a finisher. And I think one thing that this generation is plagued with is a lot of people have fallen into the trap of instant gratification. We want it now, and I think that's part of the problems why we're not really finishers. We want something now, we want it. If it doesn't satisfy us immediately, then we feel it's not worth it. Our attention spans are shorter. We can't watch videos for maybe 3 minutes. We feel like it's too long and all those stuff. We start a business. As soon as we're not seeing results, we quit. We start a podcast like this, and maybe you have a few likes, and you're like, oh, this is not for me. And then you just vanish and disappear. You just start a lot of things, and You're not patient enough to see it through and eventually get the result. So I feel like that's one thing that's plagued our generation. However, it's always a choice. It's not fixed. It's not something that everybody's brainwashed or our minds are being controlled. You actually decide to be a finisher. And I think that's the first step to becoming a finisher. It starts from the mind. It starts from the mind. Whether you like it or not, everything in life is, a result of a decision, whether your own decision or someone else's decision. Your government, for instance, like in Nigeria now, our government does certain things that are not our decisions, per se, and it affects us. You understand? So, but that's just how life is as a whole, and looking at it from scripture, there's this example that I want us to take a look at, and that's the life of Daniel, right? The Bible says Daniel proposed in his heart that he would not defile himself, with the portion of the king's food, the king's meat. Daniel made a decision. He decided to be different. He decided to not blend in. And one major aspect of that story that I would like us to take note of in relation to what we're talking about is he didn't just start. It was not, as in Nigeria would say, it was not initial gragra. His blood was not just hot, like, I will not defile myself with the portion of the king's food. No, it was not just initial gragra. He actually decided, he and his friends, and they stayed true to that decision. They saw it through to the end, and the result in that story is that Daniel and his friends were much more healthier. They appeared much more healthier and sharper and more intelligent than their contemporaries, right? So that's it when it comes to being a finisher. It starts with the mind. You have to make up your mind and decide. When Jesus said, let your yes be yes and let your no be no, it's not just to other people, it's also to yourself. So when you make a decision that I'm going to do this, stick with it, stick to it, and see it through to the end. Don't just, make decisions lightly and casually. So that's the first step to being a finisher. Number 2. This particular statement, I like both sides of it. So there's a different aspect of it that I like, but it depends on the context. So you've probably heard the phrase, don't bite more than you can chew, right? But in Nigeria, sometimes we say bite more than you can chew, then they chop them small. So what that means is that take more than what you can chew and then eat it gradually. But I don't think in terms of being a finisher, right, that would work for you. So today you want to learn photography, tomorrow you are learning graphic design, next tomorrow you want to become Hilda Bassi, you want to become a chef, a cook, the other day or the next day you want to become LeBron James. So you are not settled, you are just doing everything at once. You are not focused. One of the reasons why the laser beam is so powerful, or laser lights, and the ones that can especially cut through things, is because it is focused in a particular area. That amplifies the power. Even water, many people don't know that water is a very sharp substance when you focus it the right way. So if you have like a shower and the water is spreading, using it to bath, it doesn't really achieve much in terms of cutting through things. But when the pressure is just high enough and it comes out at the right, like from the right like mouth or something, like the right opening, that's the word, it can become very powerful. And that's the power of focus. So when it comes to finishing, you have to don't bite more than you can chew. You have to be realistic. I know you want to achieve all those things, and hey, nobody's saying you shouldn't achieve all those things, but take it one step at a time. Take it one step at a time. Don't just start things and drop things. Don't just open a business and then because you didn't make any sales the first or second day, you're already discouraged and then you are stopping. I used to be like that too, to be honest. And even now, it's not like I'm there yet, but now I'm more conscious. I'm trying to be more aware. of that fact that you have to see things through, that most times the reward is at the end, not at the beginning. And there's a reason for that, because you have to persevere, you have to push through. If success could easily be achieved that way, everybody would be successful, right? Everybody would be successful. But that's what separates you from the crowd, the fact that you are a finisher. And being a finisher doesn't only apply to little or big things. Rather, it doesn't really apply to a job, or it doesn't apply to a big project. Even the little things like reading a book, you understand, all those little things, like finishing that short course, like finishing that task on your to-do list. It does something to your mind. It's rewiring your mind to be a finisher, not just to be a starter. So as you are shifting your mindset and learning to become a finisher, don't just reserve it for the big things, right? Don't reserve it for only the major grandiose things, but let it come down to the smallest things, to the littlest of details in your life. So what's the next point? Point number 3: set up structures. I believe it was James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, that said, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So sometimes having an aspiration, having a goal, and even having a drive, passion, or motivation is not enough. You need to set up structures, you need to set up systems, and you need to be disciplined enough to follow through with those systems, because motivation doesn't last. I'm telling you, I'm still a young person, but I've lived enough to know that motivation doesn't last. You get, there are some days you wake up and you don't feel like going to work, especially Mondays. I don't know what happened to Mondays. Especially Mondays, or after an extensive break, like maybe a public holiday or your leave or something. Sometimes, no matter how much you love your job, there are just some days you don't feel like going to work. But the thing that helps you, that would help you in such scenarios are systems and structures. You understand? And then there's one powerful thing that Dr. Miles Monroe of blessed memory says. He said, when it comes to making decisions, right, don't study just the outcomes, study the consequences. So ask yourself, when I don't do this thing, what are the consequences? The consequences are, God forbid, in 20 years time you look back and you are sad and you regret and you wish that you took that step. You wish that you ignored what people said. You wish you ignored the noise and you went through with that thing. I once heard a story of someone that I can't remember the exact details, but I'll just give certain details for the purpose of the story. What is important is the lesson. So the person was, let's say, 30 years, and the person wanted to get another degree, or let's say 35 years. The person wanted to get another degree, right? The person was like telling her friends that, oh, this degree is going to take 4 years, or let's say 4 years. And by the time I'm done, I'm going to be almost 40, so I'll be 39 years. And the friend was like, guess what? If you don't take that degree now, in 4 years, you'll still be 39. So you can either be 39 with the degree, or 39 without the degree. So sometimes you have to study the consequences, not just the results. Ask yourself, will I be happy that I chose to ignore this thing in the next 10 years, in the next 5 years, even in the next 2 years? You understand? And in doing so, that helps you to strengthen your resolve. It helps you to strengthen your why, because most times your brain will play tricks on you that I'm tired, I'm too sleepy, like, let me just leave this thing today. If I don't do it today, I won't die, or nothing will happen, something like that. But sometimes when you think about the consequences, it helps you to, get that inner strength and say, no, I may not feel like doing this today, but I'm still going to do it anyway, because I don't want to wish I did this, sometime in the future, or wish I didn't do this, rather, sometime in the future. So set up structures and study the consequences. And then sometimes finishing doesn't really end in the way you feel like it should end. Sometimes when you are finishing something, you get to discover that there is more to it, and that's just how life is. And even when it comes to learning, right, like for people who are in the tech field and stuff like that, your idea of finishing may be slightly different, you get, because you may think like, oh, I'm going to learn video editing, for instance. But the truth is, one thing I've come to understand about those things is that you can't really finish learning video editing. You just keep updating your knowledge because new technologies are coming out. Even the existing technology, you don't know everything there. You may discover 3 years later an easier way to do something that you used to do, and you're like, if only I had known, I would have saved so much time. So in certain scenarios like learning, finishing is relative, but the main idea or the main concept there is the mindset to see things through. So while finishing might be relative in certain areas, as long as you have that mindset of seeing things through to the end, you will always get the desired result. So guys, with that being said, I hope we all adopt the mindset of a finisher, because that's what separates, those that succeed and those that leave a lasting legacy and impact in life from those that don't. So adopt the mindset of a finisher. So let's just run through the points one more time. So to be a finisher, you have to make the decision. It starts from the mind. Number 2, don't bite more than you can chew. Number 3, study consequences, not just results. And then number 4, set up structures. Okay guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I would see you on the next episode. Don't forget to please share and subscribe. That's your own way of supporting us if this has been a blessing to you. Until I come your way next time, this is Blessed Patrick, and this is Church Boy Talks Season 3. Bye for now.